In our eyes, wild animals will always have a certain element of mystery. Some of them have an unpleasant reputation. Magicians and witches turn them into evil spirits, but reality contradicts these beliefs. Filmed in the wild without any gimmicks, these notorious or unloved animals are simply magnificent. The ponds and lakes of our countryside are like mirrors of the sky above. But the still water hides so many mysteries, so many strange or unknown animals. At the end of this winter, the forest floor is starting to warm up. The toad has felt the change. The time has come to migrate to the wetlands. It's a long journey when your progress is this slow. He travels at night, guided by the Earth's magnetic fields, and also the stars, so they say. But what we don't say about the toad, that it's ugly, that it's a creature of the devil, an evil being. It's said to haunt dark forests and their secret ponds. Its repulsive appearance has a number of wacky beliefs. For a while, the toad was the most emblematic animal in witchcraft.
It's a long way, Toad. You want to get back to the pond for one of your orgies, Where are you hiding, you who know the secrets of the stars? Oh, there you are. Come on over here. Come on, we'll baptize you in our own way. You're one of us since you're ugly. You can join in our Sabbath. So, you couldn't find a princess to turn you into a Prince Charming? Come on, you'll be more useful in our cauldron. Preparation for a balm against rheumatism, pneumonia, burns and wounds. Aromatic herbs, lemongrass, dried flowers, and a whole and living toad. By Satan, how repulsive you are. To think you're doing wonders curing skin diseases. A toad liver buried for 9 days, then cooked in a pot, applied to oozing warts. The result is amazing. Wake up, Toad. You had centuries of nightmares. Now it's over.
It's the beginning of spring, the time of the great awakening for all the animals that have spent the winter slumbering. Bats live in caves and old mines. If we want to observe them, we have to approach them as discreetly as possible.
Être sous terre, c'est magique.
Being underground is magical.
On est tranquille, le téléphone portable
It's so peaceful.
Donc on n'est pas ennuyé. Et c'est magique, mais
you have to enter it with respect, because the animals are sleeping,
dorment.
and you don't want to wake them up.
Et surtout de ne pas les réveiller.
Bats only have a few grams of fat to get through the winter. If they wake up early, it would be fatal to their energy expenditure. These large horseshoe bats, rhinolopes, are in energy-saving mode. They've adapted their temperature to that of the cave, barely 6 or 7 degrees. They breathe very slowly, with long apneas of 15 to 20 minutes to spare their reserves. After 5 to 6 months of hibernation, bats wake up, first making small movements to warm their muscles. They'll leave the cave to look for a summer dormitory.
They gradually leave the underground environments, each species leaving at a predetermined period. The small mouse-eared bats first. The larger mouse-eared bat will leave very early, around March, when it's still winter, and then the last ones to leave are the Jeffries bats in mid-May.
Bats are very elegant flyers, but this winged but featherless creature still scares us, especially since it always appears quietly. It only knows the dark night and wears the color of death. It spends its days upside down, hiding its demonic spirit under its wings. The bat has been accused of carrying dangerous germs and of getting tangled in people's hair so they can't get them out. Humans are so quick to suspicion. Anyway, we made it into an evil animal.
Oh, you, creature half mouse, half bird. You who lives hanging by your feet, you can only be a monster. Your silent and chaotic flight, your nighttime comings and goings, all this comes from witchcraft and satanic forces. Come here, I need you. You fly like a ghost around houses, your mouth full of the blood of your prey. Vampire. Watch out, or you'll end up nailed to a barn door. Come to my house instead. I want to unlock the secret that guides you through the darkness. And then I need your ashes for my love potions. I need your blood to wash my eyes. Nasty bird with wings of skin. Do you have enough blood in your stomach for my diabolical lotion? bat blood, belladonna roots, ashes, parsley, laudanum, cow parsley, mandrake, henbane, black poppy, and myrrh. You won't escape me tomorrow night, you witches familiar.
In the forest, the toad continues its journey, moving only by night to go unnoticed. On the way, he meets someone. A solitary female, an opportunity to embrace. He doesn't hesitate. He climbs on the female's back and grabs her under the armpits. This typical toad mating technique is called amplexus. Perched on her back, the male sits comfortably till the end of the journey, when they reach the pond. In the final stretch, the toads have another Ariadne's thread to guide them. The particular smell of the pond where they were born. They've remembered it. Females that arrive with a male on their backs are getting ready to lay eggs. But it seems winter is taking its time to leave. The snow is piling up, the temperature is dropping, and in the pond, everything is frozen. Egg laying is delayed. But the males remain attached to their females. They'll wait together until the weather improves. After this surprise intrusion, winter is finally gone and spring is coming. At this time, Aurélie performs the same ritual every morning, dropping toads in the pond.
It's known to be ugly, scary, but it's also known to be a Prince Charming. Everyone has different feelings about it. But I don't see why we should be scared of a toad.
Aurélie installs a rather unusual traffic sign. Attention, toads crossing.
We've had fairly cold temperatures for a long time. The toads were in the starting blocks, then they came out all of a sudden. We went from 0 to 600, 900, then 1,000 toads. Now it's coming down. Yesterday we had 41. Today we'll see how it goes. There are couples.
Yes, noted.
Yes, then a male, a female. They will go through a lot of hardships. On the one hand, it may be sudden drops of temperature that will slow down the migration again. But the most important impacts are related mainly to humans. The toads will have to cross the roads, and there is a high rate of crushing. Then there are 3.3 kilometers of nets that are set up with a bucket system. When they go out, they will face the net. So their instinct is to go along this net to try and find a breach. Instead of this breach, they will find a bucket that will be buried at ground level, and the toads will fall in. Then, every morning, volunteers or the Green Brigade pick up these buckets. We take the toads which we transport to the other side of the road. You really need to pay attention to the place where you put them. Often it will be places where there are hedges, which have been cleared, with tree stumps so they can shelter. Because one of the two factors that can impact populations is predation. If you leave about 30 toads in the same open space, you will see birds of prey and other predators that will come to serve themselves in this pantry.
The males who don't yet have a partner are on the breach, determined to comb this water forest to find a female. Soon their quest becomes a frenzy. They have to pass on their genes at all costs. Competition is becoming fierce. Some males find a female available that they won't let go of soon. But there won't be enough for all of them. We've gone from frenzy to orgy. The toads jump on anything that moves, sometimes even without knowing if they're straddling a male or a female. Or even another species. A poor marsh frog is the victim of this madness. Males have mistaken it for a female toad. Beneath this grotesque melee, the frog suffocates because it can't get to the surface to breathe. The laughing frog eventually suffocates to death under the assault of its suitors. Males that have reached their destination cling to their conquest while they wait for the eggs to be laid. Ponds and lakes were formed during the last ice age, 10,000 years ago. In the Middle Ages, man domesticated these natural sites to develop fishing or to soak wicker. These wetlands are home to an extraordinary biological richness. In spring, with the green frogs croaking in the background, nature wakes up. The loudest members of the choir are the males, who play with their vocal sacs to charm the females. The grass snake can't hear the frog singing. It's deaf. But it feels the vibrations and has an exceptional sense of smell. This male felt the pheromones deposited by a female in a hurry to mate. It has followed the trail through the reeds and is nearly at the goal. The male's approach is very delicate. The two bodies intermingle slowly and will remain intertwined for several hours. The snake's silence and discretion have made imaginations wander and fueled the most fanciful beliefs.
When God created the eel, the devil shaped the snake, says a Breton legend. Here she is, stealthy and sneaky like the evil one. They say it haunts ponds, elusive like the Loch Ness monster, that its mouth is a monstrous abyss where its prey disappears by the hundreds. When the snake falls asleep, it dreams of its genesis. In ancient beliefs, the snake and all its cousins once had legs. The Christian Bible told us that because the snake tempted Eve, it was cursed among all the beasts and condemned to crawl. The snake has been accused of poisoning the streams where it swims, drinking from the udders of cows and laying its eggs in the bellies of babies. It's also said to have been the accomplice of Ain, the demon of fires. And can you believe that the snake caused so many cries of horror that it stayed deaf forever? But it will also be seen as having positive virtues. Isn't good the opposite of evil? Evil and good, disease and healing, two intertwined snakes symbolize medicine. And here is the Ouroboros, the symbol of eternity without beginning or end. The snake also became valuable when it woke up from its sleep and changed its skin. The healers used its molt to make a tie for sore throats, herbal tea to heal the intestines, or a belt to help women give birth.
With the arrival of the sunny days, the bats have left their winter caves. Females settle in warmer lodgings that are spacious enough for them to come and go easily. Barns, abandoned attics, or bell towers. A colony of large horseshoe bats has chosen this quiet attic. Mating took place in the autumn, but the females have delayed ovulation until now. Bats have this rare ability to delay fertilization, so that they can give birth to their single pup when the insects hatch. That way, they can make sure they fill up with plenty of protein to suckle them. For about 10 days, the newborn clings constantly to the mother's belly, warm under her wings. Afterwards, it waits patiently for her every time she goes hunting. The little horseshoe bats take their first flight around the age of 1 month, without a net and without any lessons. A bat can easily hang by only one leg if it needs the second one for something else. Like grooming, for example. In the summer, Laurent Arthur treats bats in his infirmary. He just found one that was injured by a cat, its main predator.
When you work with bats and show them to children, the first reaction is, "It's so cute." In the past, when parents scared their children with the famous stories of bats getting caught in their hair, it was done to prevent girls from going out at night. It's a legend, but there are very few people who have a real fear, and they really need to hear the truth. Americans have had a huge problem. They have white nose syndrome, not the Americans themselves, but bats. They have a white fungus that affects them and kills them by the million. Economically, it means that millions of dollars have been lost. Bats did the job for free by eating the insects that attack the crops. Except that now there are millions of bats that have died. So we have to put pesticides back in to make up for the bats. Some people have tried to calculate the value of a bat. I find it more pleasant to see them live, because it brings about dream. And dreams are priceless.
Hunting is something that bats do very well. The approach of dusk signals that it's time to hunt. From now on, the night belongs to them. A sonar system gives them a three-dimensional view. They emit ultrasounds that are echoed back by the solid elements around them. Their brains analyze the echo at full speed and translate it into images. This is how they identify and locate insects, or the places they're interested in, like that old wash house where they like to quench their thirst. What does nature look like in broad daylight? Bats, animals of the night, don't know that. They don't know that spring has repainted everything green, and that, like them, many animals were waiting for the sunny days to reproduce. In ponds, pools, ponds, and even in the smallest puddles, life pulsates again. The toads are ready for Act 2 of their reproduction. The female is already having contractions, announcing the expulsion of the eggs. The male, who has been riding her for several days, will finally justify his privileged position. Clinging tightly to her, he lays his seed on the eggs as they appear. Long garlands of black pearls decorate the bottom of the pond. 8,000 to 10,000 eggs will be laid in one day. The eggs are coated with the same mucus that toads secrete to moisten their skin or protect it from bacteria. This toxic liquid deters fish from eating these precious necklaces.
Some animals specialize in preying on toads. The skunk, he understands everything. The toad is toxic, but if I remove the skin and skin it, I can eat it without risk. So he'll reverse the skin and remove it to eat the inside. Sometimes I get to a pond and I find a lot of skin turned inside out all over. It was the skunk that ate them, directly from the pantry.
Another of their predators uses a different method. This field rat has bagged some loot by the pond. To avoid being poisoned by their skin, he lets the toads he's caught lie for a while, and he comes to pick from his pantry when he's hungry. After several months of fasting, this grass snake needs to eat. There's no way it's going to attack this water hen, but its eggs, hidden in the reeds, would do the trick. The proteins in the eggs will help it to regain its strength. This nest looks like a well-protected camp. The water hen watches over her nest like a precious treasure that she vigorously defends against any aggressor. Even when it's hungry, the snake must be patient if it wants to act by surprise, as it usually does. In the pond, everyone watches its silent movements suspiciously.
The snake is probably one of the animals with the most powerful symbolic role in almost all human civilizations for thousands of years. It's an animal with essentially positive attributes. It was life before death, knowledge before ignorance, a virgin woman before brutality. It's so beautiful that all over the world, goldsmiths use the snake motif to make jewellery. We do very pretty things with snakes. A boar is less aesthetic, less beautiful.
In this complete bioreserve, Xavier Bonnet and his fellow researchers are studying the snake's way of life. Under the plates they've installed on the ground, reptiles slip into protection from birds of prey.
C'est un subadulte. Petit esculape, sympa. Vous voulez voir, Xavier? Ben oui.
It's got small prey in its belly. It's probably babies of voles or mice, one or two. You can feel small bumps in its stomach.
Inside the reserve, the grass snake population is stable. But outside, intensive agriculture and the destruction of hedges have caused it to decrease sharply. With the summer coming and the warmer days, this small aquatic world is changing. The toad eggs hatched a few days ago. The tadpoles already have gills and a long tail to move around looking for food. Their mouth sucks in microparticles deposited on the vegetation. They eat all day long to grow up to the stage of their final metamorphosis. One day, tiny four-legged creatures came out of the water. Miniature toads. They're going to migrate like their parents, just in the opposite direction, from the pond to the forest. It's a very rough path for such little runners. The giant twigs are followed by impassable grasses. But they're determined to go all the way. And if they don't end up in a heron's beak, they can soon hide and finish growing under the dead leaves of the undergrowth. Bats also seek refuge from anything that threatens them.
There
are road-related threats, environmental threats, and the animals cling to this bridge, which has probably been occupied since its construction. The small swarm of 30 animals is probably the one that's been there since the structure was built. It's as if we've installed artificial cottages.
It is
very important to preserve these bridges, because around here, all the colonies of Daubenton's bats live in these types of structures.
At this time of year, the mayflies transform. After 3 years at the bottom of the river as larvae, they emerge as airborne insects. Delicious prey for bats that have made their home under the arches of this old bridge. By day, you can't see anything. You have to wait until night to see them come out of the gaps where they were sheltering from the light. These bats are Benton's bats. They regain possession of their night territory and go hunting. Mayflies fly in dense clouds over the water. For the bats that relish this, it's a kind of aerial plankton. To capture these insects, they make a low flyby. Not many insects escape them. Benton's bats ingest a lot of mosquitoes, but also moths that are harmful to crops. They play an essential role as natural insecticides to limit the use of chemical treatments. Let's keep them a place under the old bridges. Let them live in peace in the barns. Let's avoid damaging their existence. They'll return the favor. The water hen watched over her brood well. All the eggs hatched. She and her partner take turns feeding the chicks. Couples sometimes manage to raise 4 broods per year. The chicks begin to explore their aquatic universe under good escort. The grass snake, which has stayed nearby, has still not eaten anything. It tries again today, but finds the nest empty. The brood has gone for a walk. A little water chicken would make it very happy. But the parents are still just as vigilant, counting and recounting their chicks after each outing. The snakes lay all their eggs in the same pile of manure. Horse manure gives off a gentle warmth that encourages their development. "5 to 10 weeks after the eggs are laid, depending on the outside temperature, the baby snakes split the elastic shell where they grew up. The sight of these snake nests has caused many phobias. These vile little snakes, it was said, would slip into you while you slept to eat you from within. Their forked tongue was considered a stinger that could inject a deadly venom. In reality, baby grass snakes, like their parents, don't inject venom. As for their tongue, it's an extraordinary sensory organ. As soon as they hatch, barely 15 centimeters long, they disperse in search of their first territory. In the wilderness reserve, grass snake babies are measured, sexed, identified, and released until their next capture, so that their development can be studied. The snake in the pond is still looking for prey. Having had no luck stealing a chick, it arrives on the side where the green frogs are. Its best chance is to arrive a little before the breeding season, when the males are all busy fighting for their territory and not very attentive to what's happening around them. The frog tadpoles have to go and breathe on the surface. For want of anything better, the snake can make do with these. But it's hungry enough to eat an ox, or at least an adult frog. Like all snakes, the grass snake sunbathes a bit before any effort. A thermoregulation session that restores enough energy to go hunting. It has identified its victim, which it will locate more precisely with its tongue and the chemosensitive organ that it's attached to. As it watches the frog, the snake itself could become prey. An ermine is on the lookout. The ermine eats the snake that eats the frog. Everyone has a place in the food chain, and it's an important place.
They play quite important roles in nature. Predators regulate the levels below them. Without snakes, other species would start invading.
It's time to attack. The frog swallows a fly. And the snake? Will it swallow the frog? This one or another, it doesn't matter. The pond is full of them. The frog sees far and has reflexes. Jumping is its best defense. In legends, the snake may be a demon, but in real life it has the patience of an angel, and it's able to rethink its strategies. If it can't catch the frog on the surface of the water, it'll try from below. The hungry snake has finally got hold of its green frog. Considering the rate at which it hunts, it eats only 8 to 10 animals of this size in 1 year. Definitely not the stuff of legend. All it needs to do is return to the sun to digest its meal. Ponds and pools really don't have much to worry about. They have no witches, no Beelzebub, no bloodthirsty vampires. If we take the time to stop for a moment and look at everything swarming around the grass and reeds, it becomes obvious that we need to preserve this life.